Jai Gurudev, Jai Masters. Devotion, what we're going to talk about tonight. To some, it's a sensitive subject. To others, it's their whole life. The chant we sing in the morning, the Sri Rama Gita, says that it's the highest path. The highest path is devotion. And of course, most religions, Christianity, the Krishnas, all of them, teach devotion. But yoga, the real deep truths, approach devotion in a totally different way. I don't want to use the word. I've used the word, now let's forget the word. We'll come back to it. Let's use the word gratitude as a starting place. So we've discussed time and time again, you can find God, or at least an understanding of what it means to be omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. That's what they say God is. Omnipresent, all-powerful, and totally aware that it is all those things. Just like you are aware that you are aware. I am that I am. That's omniscience. One way to do it, and I just love doing it, I do it all the time. In fact, I can't stop my mind from doing it, it just does it all the time, is to turn to science. That's a very nice place to go, because they're finding the truth. It's silly to say the Bible is the truth, but science is not. They're studying truth. And the truth is, the Bible really doesn't contradict, nor do the Gita, nor do most of the scriptures. Once the Dalai Lama was presented, he of course has done great studies. He's not just a spiritual person. He's done a lot of intellectual studies. And somebody once asked him, well, you have these ancient traditions, and they taught things thousands of years ago that now are not true. Okay, about the way different things are in reality, how they got created, what's going on, etc., etc. And they asked him, what do you do when you're teaching and you were taught these ancient scriptures and what they said, and now you know about science? He was so beautiful. He said, oh, you change what you're teaching to what they're teaching with science. They just modernize the teachings. They're deeper truth. That's the truth. Science does not contradict tradition, religion, truth. It may contradict religion, but it does not contradict truth, spiritual truth. So what has science found that the world is made of? Plato asked, Aristotle asked, and now we have these instruments and all these billions of dollars being spent to explore the nature of things. And the bottom line is what they have found out, and this is, maybe you guys are scared of the word quantum physics. You shouldn't be. The philosophical or theoretical understanding of what's behind it is completely equal to what yoga teaches, to what the great scriptures taught, which is underneath everything. It's true there's molecules, but they're made of something. They're made of atoms. And the atoms are made of something. The word atom used to mean the smallest element. That's why they're called elements. That's the bottom. You're not going to go any smaller. But of course you go smaller. The electron, neutrons, and protons. Now quantum physics has gone deeper behind that and said it's not true that electron, neutrons, and protons are the smallest possible particles. There are particles under that. Quarks, leptons, bosons, this sort of stuff. They give them names and they know how it works. If you take a subatomic particle, a quark, and take two down quarks and an up quark, you get a neutron. You take two up quarks and a down quark, you get a proton. I make it sound, I know what I'm talking about. I don't, okay? But I do know that that's true, all right? Okay? It's understandable. It just has to be fed to you properly, right? But the point is, there are these tiny, are they particles? That's a big argument. And they've gone far enough down to where they understand, no, there are no particles. What do you mean? There are no particles. They're not particles. There are waves. Quantum physics talks about the quantum field. The quantum field is not a field of particles. It's a field of waves. And at times, the waves seem to throw off attributes. That's all. Just like magnetism. Not hard to understand how a wave could throw off positive and negative charges. Those are not things. They're just charges. And they throw off other attributes, which doesn't have to understand it. Okay, there's spins and colors. They give them all kinds of names. It doesn't matter. They're just attributes that appear at times. You can't predict where they're going to be, but at times they show up to act like particles, but they're really waves. That's the wave-particle dichotomy. That's quantum physics. There it is. They're down there studying that. And I read the other day, which I really, really like, right? I'm not checking my sources though, all right, it's not even waves, that the fields are just fields. They're just potential fields. And if they get agitated, something excites them, like they bump into something or a charge comes near them, they create waves. So I think of it, I'm not saying it is, but I think of it as a very, very still lake, and then anything that drops in that lake makes waves, doesn't it? Okay, so think of the underlying field, which they absolutely say is absolutely omnipresent. That field is everywhere in the universe. Every single thing that exists in the universe comes out of that field. All the stars, the moons, the this, the that, all the galaxies far, far away. Every single thing comes out of the quantum field by these wavelets being created, and then they act like particles, and then those seemingly particles, but they're not, attract each other and put themselves together to appear to be something solid like an atom, and then blah, blah, blah. And that is what you're looking at all day. That's as far as I'm going. Well, what's that got to do with devotion or gratitude? Maybe you'd rather be looking at an empty field of nothing. Nothing, because that's what's there. Just check science. This is what they found. There is really nothing there. But then somehow out of nothing comes this, and they can create it. They can't go all the way down, but they can go down enough to where they do these super colliders and they bash protons and neutrons, and they fall apart, and they see the little quarks. They only last for a moment, a billionth of a trillionth of a nanosecond or something, all right? This thing goes, oh, and it's gone, all right? But it can pop up, because there's so many of them, they can pop up anywhere, and it ends up creating a stable atom, even though, right, that's the most beautiful thing. It's not true that there are electron rings. You studied that. We all studied basic physics, right? There are no rings. There's no electron rings. There are no particles circling the nucleus. There's these fields that are there, and you can't predict it, but the electrons pop up here, there, and they tend to behave as if they kind of have an area that they're going to manifest as because of the laws of magnetism, right? It's not really there, all right? It's just clouds of forces. And so that's what's going on. That is what science has found. That's what it's all about now, is studying these quantum fields, which are not particles. When they use the word particle, it's in quotes. It's not a particle. It's just a force that comes out of the field, and then it puts itself together. All right. It puts itself together. I stood in the field the other day. We were having a circle after Sunday, and there were these little yellow flowers. You ever seen them? Like they just kind of pop. That came from there. That came from there. Period. So is your body. How about a tree? That's what it really is. Nothing. But it came up as these flowers and these birds and all these unbelievably beautiful things. How can you not have gratitude? What do you think about that field? What if you're sitting there staring at that field? And it's just a field. It's just a field of empty energy. And it goes, watch this. Like the wizard, all right? And all of a sudden there's flowers around you. Camellias and azaleas and trees and things, all right? Maybe you'd be a little bit grateful. That's how you get devotion, even though you're intellectual and you accept the truth. How do you not feel awe for that underlying field? Because that underlying field is God. Now, that's hard, because how can a field be God? I don't think, and you can decide if it does, that the fact that those seemingly particles pop out, the subatomic particles pop out, and put themselves together based on the laws that they came up with, and they ended up creating this, you're right, there's no God. It's just random. It just happened to be that way. Okay? Well, more important than that is ancient yogis, the great rishis from thousands of years ago who wrote the Vedas and the Upanishads. They talked about that. They talked about it's all energy, it's all light, it's made of light, it's just energy. And they talk about Brahma being unmanifest. When I read that thing about the field, that the field isn't waves. The waves happen because of agitations that hit the field, okay? But otherwise, it's a field. It's just a field. That's my word, unmanifest, popped into my mind. And then it manifests. We have gone far enough down to watch it manifest. We can't really watch it, but at least theoretically, we've got it down and we've tested to prove this stuff. that you can go from nothing to something, pretty far out. Where they haven't gone, but it's not hard to go there when you're a yogi. They have not gone that field is actually a field of consciousness. It's a field of consciousness. It's everywhere. Now we have an omnipresent field, and they absolutely use that word. NASA used the word omnipresent. Oh my God, it blew my mind. The quantum field is omnipresent. Wow, that word was reserved for God. You understand that. I've never seen anybody use that word other than for God. NASA used it in explaining the universe. So it's omnipresent. It's obviously omnipotent. All forces that exist come from that field, or at least all physical forces. All right? They can put the universe together with 4 forces: gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. I don't care whether you know exactly what they are. There's just 4 of them, and they come out of that field. They say the quantum field is quarks, leptons, and bosons. Bosons are the things that pop out that carry those forces. Just so to be fair, they have watched electromagnetism come out of them. They have watched strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force. Quantum physicists have not explained gravity. Einstein has another theory of gravity. It'd be fun to see if they ever find how gravity comes out of that field. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's 4 forces. They all come out of that field. That means that field's omnipotent, all-powerful. All forces that exist come out of that field. So the only thing that's missing is omniscience. That means, imagine that, a field that's everywhere, that knows, just like you know you're there. I always ask you, are you there? Are you in there? Hi. How do you know? It's just to walk away. You can't prove it, but you know you're in there, don't you? All right? And this field knows that it knows that it knows. That field, which is everywhere, just how hard is it for you to feel your entire body? Right now, feel your body. Can you feel your foot? Can you feel your hand? Can you feel your body? How long did it take? Nothing. Why? Because you're everywhere. Your consciousness is everywhere in the body. Okay? Consciousness, God consciousness, is everywhere in that field of creation. Therefore, it knows itself as everywhere. I said, don't think of it. Just, you don't have to think to feel your body. Well, imagine a consciousness that experiences its absolute infinitude and so on. Right? So that is God. That's God. That's an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent force that is creating every single thing you see. Christ in the Bible said, not a hair moves on your head that he doesn't know. Not a sparrow falls from the tree. Ever read the Bible? Not a sparrow falls from the tree that God's not aware. Of course, he's the sparrow. He's the hair on your head. He's everything. The Gita we sing says, the man that has seen God sees God everywhere. You getting it? Mm-hmm. Okay? So basically, there it is. Now we're talking about gratitude. How can you not have gratitude? Every single thing you interact with, good, bad, indifferent, how would you instead like to interact with nothing? I tell you, go to Mars. Elon wants to send you guys to Mars, okay? Go to Mars. Be the first one there on Mars. Oh boy, I'm on Mars, the first guy, gal. All right? Okay, sit around for a while. There's nothing but sand dunes. Red sand dunes, dust. There's nothing. How long would it be that if you sat there, you'd be the most bored thing that ever, you wouldn't even want to live? Right? How often did that happen to you here? Never, ever, ever for a moment in your life. There is so much going on this planet. There's so much going on in front of you at all times. But you want to sit there and say, yeah, but I like that one and I don't like that one. If you are on Mars, I told you, if you're on Mars and you spend some time there and you're really getting really depressed and a roach runs by, you chase it, but not to kill it, to make friends. All right? So basically, you don't have to do that. You've all got so much going on around. This is the essence of spirituality, is to be willing to accept truth. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That truth of that quantum field, that can set you free, can't it? What problems do you have? None. Point a problem to me. Which atom is a problem? I sometimes do that with you guys. We don't have to go down to the quarks and left-hand quantum field. I have a periodic table. I keep it in my den. Did I ever take a science course? Never. But there's a beautiful periodic table. I love it. And I want to take you there, either as a group or individually, and I'm going to ask you which one of those elements turns you on and which one turns you off. By the way, which one's male and which one's female? Don't even try. Hear me? The problem is we have laid this thing called mind on top of physical creation. And that's what causes the problem, doesn't it? Otherwise, things just are. Like the Buddhists say, flowers are red, water's blue, grass is green. You see what I'm saying? It's what it is. But it's awesome that it is. It's amazing it exists. Especially now that you understand it comes out of nothing. And they can literally make it, they're right down there, almost totally understanding how it comes out of nothing. All right? And you're close. Who's ever taken two poles, like poles of a magnet, and tried to push them together? Any of you ever do that? Feels pretty solid, doesn't it? That's the only sense of solidity that you are feeling, period. The floor is not solid, your foot is not solid, but your foot is made of atoms, and on the outside of the field of atoms, there are these electrons, and they're all negatively charged, and outside the floor, there are these electrons, they're all negatively charged. That's what you're feeling. And notice, there's really nothing there when I push those magnets together, is it? Is it solid? No. It's the laws of electromagnetism creating the illusion, if you will, of solidity. And everything's like that. Why can't you think like that instead of thinking, oh, why did he say that to me? I don't like it at all. I don't feel good. Why can't it just be, wow? Wow. Anybody listening? There are problems, but you create them. And your mind will sit there and say, I do not. He said that to me. He really said that to me. You're the one that defined it as a problem. There are people who have signs that march around saying Saturn shouldn't have rings. It's not fair. Mars should have rings. All right? You're welcome to do that. You can think anything you want. Or you can turn to science, which is the same as turning to God. There is no difference in any way, shape, or form until your mind tells you there is. You want to make a mess? Make a mess. Or you want to sit there and say, to go back to Genesis, I just explained how the universe got created, didn't I? I mean, I didn't go in detail. Go to the quantum physicists if you want to. But that's how it got created. And what does the Bible say? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Those are the first words in Genesis. What is a word? A vibration. That's what yoga says. Yoga says Om is the primary vibration of which the universe is created. Both traditions teach the same thing. That the beginning of creation is a vibration, a word, the Om, and out of that vibration everything got created. If I didn't have some idea that these physicists have gotten all the way down there, I guess I could believe it out of faith. I don't need to anymore, do I? It is made out of a vibration. That's what comes out of the field. So the question is, most people, if they look at God that way, they don't feel it has any devotion. They don't feel they can love God. They don't feel it has some relationship. How do I have a relationship with that field? What do you think you're doing every single moment of every single day? You're interacting with that field, aren't you? If water is made out of H2O molecules, you sit there and say, I don't even know what an H2O molecule is. I've never seen one. Yes, you have. You've seen it as water. You interact with electron, neutron, and protons every single second of your life. Every single thing you interact with is nothing but electron, neutron, and protons. You just have to use your mind, your abstract mind, your intellectual mind, instead of sitting there dealing with your personal mind, which is busy saying, I don't like this, I want that, I don't want anything like that, I want some more money, I want another car, I don't want you to talk to me that way, I don't never let you talk to me that way, what am I going to do about the fact that you talk to me that way? You take that mind, and instead of paying attention to God, real God, creation, you're lost in your mind. That's what's taught. That you're lost in your mind. That's the fall from the garden. You fell into your mind. Otherwise, come on, you cannot tell me that what's going on this planet Earth is not amazing. Yes, I know there's things you don't like, okay? It's amazing that there are things. How you like that? Which, by the way, people totally misunderstand the teaching. Just because you honor and respect and appreciate that there are things, that does not mean you're not interacting with them. So if you sit there and you see a cat caught in a tree and trying to get out, you go, oh, it's a quantum field sitting on top of the quantum field. There's really nothing happening there. And the sound it's making is really just vibrations through the air. Wow, and walk away. No, you're interacting. You get to be there. You get to interact with it. Understand that? In the be here now sense, you're part of this creation. This thing's made out of the same quantum field. So you're sitting there and you interact with it. You help the cat down if you can. You do what you can to serve the moment in front of you. What you don't do is if when you were 5, there was a cat caught in a tree, right? And you couldn't get it down. When you're 55, you still feel guilty. Do you hear me? And every time you see a cat, you cry. And every time you see a tree, you get mad at it. I don't like trees. They catch cats. Cats get stuck in them, okay? And every time you see the fire department, you get mad because they wouldn't come to get your cat out. Do you understand that? That is a problem. You made it a problem. At the moment of trying to help the cat, that's very nice. But the fact that you carry this problem inside of you, you did that. Where's the quantum field? Where's the quantum field making worry? It's not. Where's the quantum field holding the concept of the cat that at 5 years old I couldn't get out of the tree? It's not. That is something that comes from a whole other level that you're doing. You do that inside yourself. You make a complete mess of your mind. We'll get to mind shortly. But I just want you to understand that you can see God as science does. They don't call it God. Some of them do. Some of them get. Einstein once said, the further I look down there, the more it looks like someone's looking back at me. Right? Einstein was spiritual and religious, but he was very spiritual. A lot of things he taught were very, very spiritual. So basically, you have God. Now, do you understand? You don't have to look at God that way. You're welcome to relate to it another way. You hear me? Okay? And so basically you come down to doing this thing called appreciation. That is the beginning of devotion, is appreciation. If you don't like what God did, it's very hard to be devoted. I believe in God and I'm pissed. That's ridiculous. Look at it. Imagine talking to a quantum field that way. It's just a field that created this. And this is just the earth. Remember 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun, and there's 300 billion suns? The same quantum field is creating every single one of those things. Right now, this very second, it's coming out of that, creating that. And that's 300 billion stars in one galaxy, and there's 2 trillion galaxies that we know about. That's our estimate. 2 trillion galaxies, all with hundreds of billions of stars. The quantum field is making all of that. Let's not like them. What's the matter with you? Let's let God be some idle little thing. That's why it says have no graven images of me, because I'm a little bit bigger than that. Just a little bit, right? I told you the other day, they found a quasar millions of light years away, that at the center of this galaxy is a black hole. And the black hole is eating everything around it and spewing it out. It throws off light. When it does that, that's what a quasar is. That center of that thing, that object, is throwing off light that is more than 500 trillion times brighter than the sun. And that's one object out of the hundreds of billions of trillions. One of them, 500 trillion times brighter than the sun. That's coming out of that field. All light comes out of that field. Photons, the electromagnetic spectrum carries photons, carries lights. So that's how much is popping out of that. Oh my God. And now expand that out. You don't want to do it. Your mind doesn't want to do it. Make it do it. You want to contemplate God? Contemplate God. It's going to blow your mind. How you like that? Your personal mind can't exist in the light of that. Isn't that beautiful that science gave us the gift that you can tell your mind, hello, pay attention. It's really big. It's not the little blemish on your face. And if it is, that came out of the quantum field too. You understand? That very second, nothing exists in this world, on this plane of reality, that at this moment is not coming out as these popping up things out of the quantum fields, then putting those stuff together. It's not like it did 1,000 years ago. It did, but it's still doing it. Otherwise, it's not here. Every single moment, every single thing that is anything, if you look down far enough, it's coming out of the quantum field. Wow. Now, how about some gratitude? It's pretty neat, isn't it? That's pretty amazing what it made. What it made. That's how big God is. You want to make him small? Some people say the human beings are not capable of having an impersonal God. They have to have a personal God. Well, you're talking to the wrong person, man. Because that God, whoa, that God takes you close to God, because your mind can't exist. The personal mind can't exist in the realm of that reality. And you have to keep telling your mind that is reality. It is proven at every possible level. Wow. Okay? So gratitude comes when you stop listening to your personal self. What is the personal self? We did that very quickly. I do that all the time, but quickly we did it the other day. All right? So now you have form. That's where all form comes from, period, including the cells inside your body. Like we touched this thing about the reproductive system yesterday. I'm sorry, it just blows my mind. You're sitting here saying that two cells get together. The cells are very, very small. They take microscopes to see them. Okay, that cell is sitting there. Nobody, no scientist, no person, no mommy, no daddy, no anybody does anything. And that thing grows into a baby. With all the organs, with every... Don't tell me it doesn't do it by itself. You ever been pregnant? What are you doing when you're pregnant? Nothing. Sorry. You're trying not to screw it up. Am I telling the truth or not? Come on. Okay? That cell divides, and where does it get the matter, the atoms, in order to make livers and teeth and eyeballs and so on? Out of the carrots and water and things that you eat and drink. It's a chemist that breaks them down into the molecular structures and re-puts them together to make up all the different parts of a body. All right? Now, if you ask a scientist, well, it's not happening by itself. There's this very complex double helix, whatever it is, molecule called DNA. See, we understand. Science, we understand. There's just a DNA molecule. It's doing it. Excuse me, what exactly is the DNA molecule made out of? Oh, that's what the genetics are. What are the genetics? Atoms. Right or wrong? They're atoms. Oh, I see. So atoms are making the baby all by themselves, breaking everything down and acting like chemists and interacting together and doing that stuff, right? But then we already said there were no atoms. The electrons and protons are doing it. That's what atoms are. What are cells? Molecular structures. Every single cell is a complex molecular structures making up the cell, made of atoms, come from the quantum field. Every single one of your 25 trillion cells that make up your body are the quantum field right now making those cells that interact with each other based on DNA and based on... Come on, guys. How about using your mind for something awesome? That is what it's about. It's about training your mind to not just be thinking about yourself, which is what it does. It just thinks about me. I told you the other day, somebody shared, they said, I've grown enough to realize, you know what really is happening here? There's me and everything else. Right or wrong? I am the center of the universe. Well, it's not true that it's you and everything else. It's true that it's everything else and you're there too. Right? There's everything. It's all made of sense. But now you just contemplate a baby. I want you to do that. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? That happens like that. And then you don't even pay any attention. Gratitude. But I wanted a boy. No, I really wanted a boy. I've thought about it. What's the matter with you? You see what you're doing? Because you're so busy with your preferences, you can't respect and appreciate reality. Because you are so busy with your preferences, you can't appreciate the reality of what's happening right in front of you or inside of you. I want you to contemplate a baby and how it gets made. You stop saying, I want a baby. I can hold it. And no, don't give me that stuff, that personal stuff. I want to see where that thing comes from, how that get made, because you did not do it. And so you start having appreciation, respect. But you can't when you're busy with yourself, because then the only thing you appreciate is what you want and what you don't want. I didn't have to get what I don't want, and I got what I want. What did Buddha teach you? Exactly that. Buddha said, all life is suffering. Now, that doesn't mean you break your arm all the time or you get divorced all the time. That's not what he means. He means you're suffering all the time. You're afraid you won't get what you want. You're afraid you'll get what you don't want. You're afraid somebody doesn't like you. You're afraid you less votes on Facebook. There's always anxiety, isn't there? There's fear and anxiety. It's called suffering. Compared to nirvana, that's suffering. I mean, compared to being in ecstasy and just totally open and experiencing the awesomeness of all of life, you're suffering. That was the first noble truth of Buddha. All life is suffering. Second noble truth is unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's so deep. The cause of suffering is preference. They generally translate that as desire, but many of the Zen patriarchs define it as preference. What is a preference? A desire. What's a desire? A preference. What's a desire? A way I want it to be. A desire is a preference. So he said the cause of all suffering is preference. What did we just say? The cause of all turmoil, all suffering, all anxiety, all war, every single thing is preference. As long as they have developed in their mind preference, this is what I want it to be like, this is what I don't want it to be like, you suffer. If what you don't want to happen is not happening, you suffer. You suffer because you don't want it to happen. You're afraid that it might. Now, the reason I laid out the quantum field is that's reality. This is mind. This is what you did with mind about reality. You made preferences. You created preferences. You don't honestly believe the quantum field cares whether it's popping quarks or leptons or up quarks and down quarks. You know, they gave names to the quarks. Quarks are just these things that things are made of, right? An up quark, a down quark, a bottom quark, a top quark, a charm, and a strange quark. Those are the 6 names of the quark. Go look it up. That's just weird. But it's weirder that these things are just popping out of nothing. And they make up reality. And instead of going, wow, oh my God, that is unbelievable. That exists, it's unbelievable. Everything is unbelievable. Everything is unbelievable. Not just the baby. The fact that your body is there in the morning, what did you do to make that happen? Because every single thing in your body is a cell, a living cell. 25 trillion living cells talking to each other, interacting with each other, bouncing each other. And yet you just wake up, I feel good. I don't want to go to work. So this is what it means to have devotion. You have appreciation for God. Creation, the creator. We use those words, but we don't know what we're talking about. What's God? The creator of the universe. Fine. Now you understand what that means. You got a better look, don't you? There really is something down there that's omnipresent, omnipotent. I say, yogis, well, I'll tell you how you'll end up knowing it's omniscient, but don't worry about that one. All right? There's something down there that's omnipresent, omnipotent, all-powerful, and it has created the universe. I have a little trouble saying thank you. You like the fact that your body's there. You like the fact that your dresser's there. You like the fact that there's a sky and there's the sun and there's weather and there's rain that falls out of the sky. They're all the quantum field. Wow. So you start with appreciation, and then you stand out there and you see these little flowers. Or maybe an orchid. Where did an orchid come from? Are you telling me that those quarks and leptons that are bubbling out of the waves of the quantum field just happened to be charged such that when they put themselves together and then it went all the way up, an orchid is sitting there? Because that's where it's coming from. Isn't that unbelievable? Just think of anything that you think is beautiful. It comes from that. Now, that's where you get to devotion. How do you not look at that? Say thank you. If I have to exist at this level, thank God you're there making that. That you're presenting. He lays flowers at your feet. Here in Gainesville, we have camellias and azaleas. They just pop up all over the place, don't they? And dogwood trees. We have a lot of neat stuff around here, right? That is literally the quantum field worshiping you. That is it sitting here saying, I love you. What the heck else is that? It didn't have to be there. It's pretty amazing. Then there's all these kinds of animals, and there's all these kinds of plants, and there's all these different kinds of people, and it's not boring, is it? And so you get to the point where science and spirituality merge. And that doesn't mean there's not devotion. It's absurd to sit there and say that. How can you not feel devotion for the force that gave you everything? How come I don't have anything? You have everything. You just don't have what you want. He was creating the whole universe for you. It's popping up all over. You don't have to do a darn thing. There it is for you to play with, right? And you sit there and say, but I wanted the red one. Her orchid is prettier than mine. I didn't want the ladybug to bite mine before I went to the show and show them the orchid. Why would God do that? How dare you think like that or talk like that? The fact that anything exists, you just say thank you. Or would you rather have nothing? I told you once, Earth is God's idea of Disney World. As far as we can tell, there's not going anywhere else. There may be somewhere, but we ain't found nothing. Nothing. Burning gases and dirt and rocks and fire. That's all that's out there. That was going on here in front of you all day? No way. You get these unbelievable experiences. And instead of saying thank you and appreciating the reality that's manifesting, how can we even talk about it? Just remember what I'm telling you. It's manifesting out of that field every single second. Every single thing you interact with comes out of that field. Pretty awesome. But there's this person, he wasn't very nice. That's unbelievable. There's even not nice people. Okay? So you just eventually get to the point where you have trained your mind. You have to train your mind. All right? Why? Because you have one. You have a mind. You do. It's not made of the quantum field. The physicists are studying the physical plane. They're not studying the astral plane or the emotional plane or the mental plane or the higher spiritual plane. They're not studying that. To most scientists, they don't exist. Those things don't exist. I think it's hilarious because they're using the mental plane to study the physical plane. As yogis, you all understand. You meditate, you understand. You're in there, you're conscious, and you are not limited to the physical plane. You have a mental plane, and you can do anything you want with that. You can't do anything you want with the physical plane. You can do anything you want with the mental plane. These people that are saying what the world should be about, the world's about is the law of attraction. Okay, I know I'm the only one that picks on this. Sorry. Is there a law of attraction? Can I attract to myself what I want? Sure, but why do you want it? Why are you not so blown away by what's been given to you that you have to be like a spoiled child? But I wanted a bigger house. But I don't want it to be like that. And then call the fact that you're trying to pray and make and attract and do things with your mind to make it be the way you want, call that spiritual. That is not spiritual. Spiritual is what Christ said, not my will, but thy will. That's spiritual. In other words, look at the quantum field, see it pop all this up, and tell it what you want it to do. That's pretty funny. And they're making everything. You wouldn't even know what to ask for if I hadn't made it already. Okay? And you just look at that field and you just say, wow, namaste. Wow, thank you. That's what you say to that field. Thank you. Thank you for everything. You're just amazing that you created this. You're the creator of the universe. But my ego is so big, I'm going to tell you how I want to create it. All of it? No, just my part. Are you listening to me? Spirituality is about letting go of yourself so that you can experience the whole instead of only experiencing yourself. Why am I only experiencing myself? Because my mind has received the objects around me. That's all. It doesn't receive everything. Your senses don't pick up everything, but they pick up the part that's around you. It comes in, and it is at different vibrations. Everything feels different. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything feels different. If somebody's yelling at you, it's very different than somebody saying sweet things to you. It's a different vibration rate. Everything is created, all comes up. That's not a problem. It comes in, you experience it, and you appreciate it. You appreciate someone yelling at you? Sure, why not? They stop thinking about God because he manifests as something that's yelling at me? Well, you know you're there when you see that's yelling at you is God. Why is he yelling at you? For fun. He's got to make some. He's really busy, all right? He makes everything, so you got to make that too. So the yin and the yang, all right? Everything gets created. So it comes in and it passes through. Now we're going to get clean, all right? If it can come in and pass through, you're enlightened. That is how they define. I told you, there's a line, it's actually a phrase, I'm paraphrasing, out of the Gita. I looked it up today, I was writing to somebody. It's chapter 2 of the Gita. Arjuna asked Krishna, how will I know an enlightened being? How will I know the liberated one? Walks he, talks he, sits he like any other man? And Krishna answers him, you will not know him like that. He walks, he talks, he sits like any other man. If you would like to know him, in joys he's not overjoyed, in sorrows not oversorrowed. He lets goodness come when it will, and when it will depart, and lets darkness come when it must, and when it will depart. He walks as a stranger, a sojourner, in the midst of the quality of nature. Just as all the rivers and streams of the earth pour into the ocean, and the ocean does not overstay its bounds, so the world of sense pours into the yogi and leaves him as it found him, serene, content, at peace. Equanimity is yoga. Isn't that what we're talking about? The mind is welcome to experience things. That's what it's there for. You're welcome to create in your mind and then create in the world. You have that ability. What you're not welcome to, and that which is the fall from the garden, is to say, I don't want that to have happened. Well, why can't I say that? Because it happened. If you said, I don't want that to have happened, it must have already happened. Well, you don't get to do that. It already got created. You're welcome to take and create and do things. All right? You're supposed to. That's what it's about. You're given free will. You know what you use your free will to? Resist God. You use your free will to say, no, not on my watch. You did not say that. Don't you dare have done that. When? 30 years ago. Who? Mommy and Daddy are both dead, but they better not have done that 30 years ago. You got stuff in there? Anybody got stuff in there? Anything from your past in there that you kind of don't like, and anytime somebody mentions it, it kind of gets weird? That is exactly what you are not supposed to be doing. Why? You can't change the past. It's created. It came out of the quantum field. Now it's creating something else. And that is what acceptance means. People read the Surrender Experiment. You really mean I'm supposed to say yes to everything? No, it does not say that. It doesn't say that. It says the world is going to unfold in front of you. Start by accepting the reality that is folding in front of you. And if something inside of you, called your mind, your ego, can't handle it and is freaking out, get to work. Not on what happened, but on the fact that you're not capable of being open enough and devoted enough to creation to honor and respect that took place. Now, once you can honor and respect it took place, why? Because it did. Reality matters, doesn't it? And to me, reality is God made visible. Reality is God made visible. It is what the quantum field created. And it's doing it all over the place. And you seem perfectly capable of accepting 99.99999999999% of everything that's going on, but not the part that happened in front of you. So acceptance means the part in front of me is the same as the part that's not in front of me. I can handle it. It came in, I can handle it. Now, it doesn't mean I'm doing anything about it. You're supposed to be interacting with the world, but not because you didn't like it, or because you did like it. Well, what's wrong with I did like it? First of all, I say my teachers are too strict. You're welcome to keep the part you like. It's more advanced to understand that that part causes trouble too. Why, if I like it, does it cause trouble? Because you want it to happen again. You're not open. You're not ready to experience the reality of the next moment that's being created. You want it to be the same as the one that you liked. It's called the positive and negatives and scars. But don't worry about it. You can worry about those later. Because 99% of everything you got in there was the negative stuff that you couldn't handle. And so basically, what acceptance means is, I'm not going to resist the reality that just unfolded in front of me. I'm going to surrender that that is the reality. But there's a part inside of me, mind, that doesn't want to accept it. If you don't want to accept it, it will ruin your life. That's Buddhist teachings. The cause of suffering is preference. I have a way I wanted it to be, and if it's not that way, I'm telling you, I will suffer for the rest of my life. Being mad at my ex, being mad at the first boyfriend, being mad at this, being mad at God, being mad at mommy, dad, right? I couldn't handle the reality that took place, so I resisted it and stored it inside, and that's the personal mind. Deep spirituality makes a distinction. Nowadays, I'm telling you, they merge them together. Your personal mind is the one that has preferences. I want to have this, I'll attract it to me. That's called a preference. Buddha said it's the cause of all suffering. So yes, if you can manage to manifest in front of you exactly what you want, which means the atoms that you manifested in front of you that would not have been there naturally, that weren't the result of everything else happening in creation, are out of balance with everything else. Have fun keeping them that way. I want your husband. I want him. I really love your husband. I really want your husband. Oh, it's working. I'm attracting him. Look, he's being attracted to me. Holy mackerel, you're going to pay some karma on that sucker. Does that make sense? It's not holy that you can make things happen. It's holy that you can accept reality and then build beauty off of it. It's not that you don't act. You just don't act based on your personal stuff. I'm going to go out there and act because I couldn't handle it. No. I'm going to go out there and act because I'm going to make it happen again because I really liked it. What are you doing? You're competing with God. I'm going to honor and respect and accept everything that ever happened, that I experienced, learn from it, and then I'm going to bring all of that wisdom and knowledge into the current moment so that I can serve and participate in the unfolding of the universe. That's your job. You're just as important. You're going to used to say, but for the want of a safety pin, the universe would fall apart. I never understood that. Now I do. Every single thing in the universe has its place. If the charge of an electron was 0.0000001 less than it is, this is gone. And you're part of the universe. You have your Dharma. You have your place in the universe. But it is not based on what you want and don't want. It's not based on the fact that you stored what hurt you before. Now you don't want it to happen again. And you stored what made you feel good before. Now you want it to happen again. And now you're out there forcing and fighting. And how's it supposed to be? The way I want. What happens if it's not the way you want? It's wrong. So you wake up. Now you understand what I teach of acceptance and surrender. It does not mean everything that's unfolding in front of you. Somebody comes up to you and offers you heroin or drugs. Oh, okay, Mickey said surrender. Okay, we'll try that. Don't do that. Don't blame that on me. However, if somebody comes up to you and tries to pawn some stuff off on you, and you freak, you can't handle that such a person exists in the world, and you get all weird and you do all kinds of stuff, and every time anybody comes near you ever again, you get all scared because it might be a drug dealer. No, that, he says, let go. Let go of that. Right? And then deal with the situation. Well, how? You'll know. If you're not being driven by your personal desires and fears, you will be clear. It's called clarity. And you will sit there and see. You don't have to think about it. Immediately you'll see. Intuitively, is there something I'm supposed to be doing at this situation? And the answer may well be no, just keep walking. But don't let it bother you. Don't let it create issues inside. Oh my God, I met a drug dealer. Oh my God. Right? Somebody once said to me, I did 30 years of prison work. Maximum security prison, every single one of them pretty much in there for life. And somebody said to me, a very intelligent, successful man, said to me, but aren't they all lifers? When you go to the prison there? I said, yes. Then why are you bothering? Wow. See the difference? Okay. You are here to serve whatever unfolds in front of you. And you do your best to raise it. And I would like, based on this conversation, that you start seeing it as it came from the quantum field. Well, everything. Everything. And the next thing you know, this whole concept of judging, liking and not liking, right and wrong and good and bad, and all that kind of stuff, it goes away. And you could be like Krishna said to Arjuna, that the world of sense pours into the yogi and leaves him as it found him, at peace, serene, content. Equanimity is yoga, right? If you're in that state, it's not that you don't act, you just act out of clarity. How would you like if everybody did that first and didn't think about what they want and what they don't want and what I believe is right and what I don't? Your beliefs are completely meaningless. They're things of the mind that could change in a billionth of a second. Learn one more thing. I believe he's the most beautiful person I've ever met in my whole life. And I really believe he loves me with all of his heart, right? What's he doing? He's running around with somebody else. Oh my God, I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe in him. Oh, it takes one more event. Your beliefs come and go, don't they? You have to fight to keep your beliefs. They teach you that. Be strong with your beliefs. Don't ever let anything undercut your beliefs. Yoga does not teach that. Yoga says, learn the truth, and now what? Then see it. See, I would love that what you get from this talk, boy, I'd be happy if you do, that from now on, as you walk around and everyone you see and everything you interact with, wow, it is coming from this quantum empty field of wavelets that manifest up, and there it is. And it's a gift. It's all a gift from God, out of God, that's being given to you. But it's not what I want. That's what you let go of. How? I've taught you how. Then Living Untethered goes very deep into how to work with the part of you that has got these issues, and how to live a beautiful life filled with ecstasy and joy, and then help. Of course you serve. Of course, but you don't serve you. You're dancing with God. How you like that? He manifested it all up so you can see it. And I don't have time. The other way we come down is, where'd your consciousness come from? It is the same field of consciousness that is omnipresent and omniscient and omnipotent throughout the entire universe. The source of your consciousness is that field. My Father and I are one. Here we are at Easter, I get to say it. You can do it from below, coming up, you can do it from above. So it's basically God creating creation and then dancing in it, and you are his ambassador for the moment that is in front of you. Love it. Worship it. Say thank you all the time and dance with it like you would dance with your lover. So you see where devotion can fit in? All right, good. Thank you. Jaggerneth.